But since your character died in the last session, would you like to do the recap?
I mean,
or would you like to roll for it? I just don't want to take that choice away from you because it was, you had the big moment.
I did have the big moment. We didn't really do much last episode. I'm trying to find my notes real quick. We fought the rock monster, and the rock monster destroyed me, Malin, and Boone. But unfortunately, Cricus actually ended up passing away. It's a very sad moment for me, but at the same time, I kind of wanted Cricus to move on from Cricus anyway. So I'm actually kind of happy. And then the party did a very nice memorial service for Cricus at the top of the mountain, I believe. Was open air funeral, I guess. So I'm sure Cricus would love that. Giving back to nature and everything. And I think that's about it.
You saved Dr. Glade from the being petrified.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I did do that, so that was nice. Unfortunately, Dr. Glade was not able to help Cricus.
That's true.
That's what friends are for. Sacrifice. Anyone have anything to add to our little recap?
Well, only...
Yeah, Boone's a dick.
Yeah, good riddance. There's a few things that I'm not sure who's got now after Cricus died, because listening and editing the podcast, we have 10 fingers that belonged to one of the hags that somebody picked up. We've got 2 fish bladders. Don't know who's got them. And we've got a web gland from the Spider-Man's ass. 10 centipede legs and a vial of poison. And I think Cricus had most of that. But I do remember someone rifling through his pockets when he died, so I don't know how...
Dick.
It was Boone, was it? As Boone ran off with all our fancy stuff. Bladders that can help us swim underwater and things.
Possibly, yeah.
So we need to figure that out, because those bladders are going to be very useful. But am I metagaming? I don't think I am, because they were there, and...
No, I mean, to a certain point, you would have watched Cricus put it in his bag, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, more than likely.
So happy to agree that we've still got all that kit.
Yes, I would agree with that. There's a few other pieces that I also noted, which I was curious to see who took control of. But if you sort of collectively have it, then that's fine. Okay.
We need a bag of holding.
You had one in the last campaign, which I gave you at the very end. Don't want to talk about it. Okay. Shall we begin?
Yes, please.
All right, here we go. Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, can we do a silent spot for the editing?
Yes. Well remembered, Cricus. Let's begin. You've come down the mountain now. Boone remaining uncharacteristically quiet, shall we say, as you descend. And as you come down, you make yourselves level with the line of the trees. You head back through the forest. Is there anything you would like to do? I presume you'd like to head back into town, but I don't want to take that away from you. So is there anything you'd like to accomplish otherwise, or was the intention post-ceremony to head back down into town?
What do we think, guys? I think that was the plan, wasn't it? To continue gathering the resources we require
Yeah.
I think, didn't we agree last time to perhaps go source a ship next for the ceremony? Seems to be one of the hardest things we need to get. Seem to got gems, beef and corn can't be that difficult. And it was just the ritual boat. Let me check my notes. Who builds the boats? George Toohey, wood and large workshop on the river. And then Langton Reed makes steel girders. So I think it was George Toohey we need to go speak
What
to.
do we need girders?
Yeah, I'm not sure why that was. I've made a note of it,
that
but
part of the chaining.
yes, were we considering the blacksmith said he'd agree to build as a large lure that looked like a fish, if that's what we decided to do, and that Langton Reed might be able to build the chain to tow it.
Oh, oh.
Head to town, recoup, visit George Toohey about a ship.
See a man about a boat.
Sounds like a plan.
You head back into town. You wind your way through the country roads. They take you home to the place that you are happening to visit. And you get to Leidenford. You walk down the road into town, you cross the bridge, and you head back to the old standby, the Singing Jester. And as you enter the Singing Jester, you notice that there are a few folks inside, but it's relatively quiet. Upon entry, now I've only put Dr. Gladen Mallon's tokens because Boone is being very quiet today. We can say he's I don't know, waiting outside, whatever. But upon entry into the Singing Jester, you note the halfling bartender who stands behind the bar, and her elderly father who sits sort of drunkenly swaying at a small table. There's a dwarf in the corner, sipping at an ale. But what catches your eye immediately and captivatingly is that there's an enormous man bird sitting in the back in a booth by himself. You presume it's a he. You're not able to sex a bird at sight. Well, at least that's what I've heard. But it's this huge anthropomorphic bird, and you've literally never seen anything like it in your life.
I elbow Malin. Malin, look. It's a bird, man. Have you ever seen anything like that before?
DM, would I, in character, know what an Akara is?
I think both of you are going to roll a religion check.
Ooh.
40.
Religion. 11.
Malin, you have heard folk legend for some time. I think that the mythical nature of the Aarakocra are semi-well known. I would compare it to seeing what's a good parallel? A real-life minotaur. You there, Judd Seddon. If you saw a minotaur sitting at a table in a pub in, I don't know, the north, you would probably be pretty surprised to find out that this semi-mythical creature was real. Well, I suppose that's properly mythical, but this sort of creature of fiction was truly possible. But it's well known in sort of folk legend that there have always been people that have said they've seen these creatures, or that came to the earth and blah, 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 years ago and then disappeared and da 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 da. So yes, you would have heard of them, but you never would have seen one before, and you're relatively uncertain that they were real until this very moment. Bigfoot, that's a much better comparison. It's Bigfoot.
But Bigfoots exist.
And so do the Irakakra, clearly.
Yeah. Well, I've heard of this, but I never thought they were real.
I'm desperate to go say hello, but I feel that would be terribly rude.
Aren't they quite savage?
Is that what you've heard?
I've heard like rumors.
Doesn't look savage and what? Barkeeper.
No, it just used to be sat having a drink. But
Yeah, yes. What is that he's drinking? Her, him, it.
Hang on. I don't remember what her voice was, but I wrote it down and it's downstairs. So talk amongst yourselves for 2 minutes while I go grab my notes.
oh, that's not your new character then, Trev. Trying to say because they are incredibly hard to balance in combat.
Huh?
They're bird creatures.
Is that your new character, Trevor?
Yes,
Oh,
that
right.
is.
Okay.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Cool.
Let's,
Yeah.
Just remember to fly everywhere and you win every fight.
Yeah. My walking speed is slower than normal, so I have to fly basically. Yes, that is my new character, so I am excited.
Is this a new released race? It's just I'm running. I've just started running a in real life game, and one of the players is playing an. How do you say it again?
Eric Crocker. believe.
Arakocra. Is it new or have they been around a while?
There is a stat block for him in Xanathars, I think.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is good because I know
Xanathars was the other one.
I know nothing about them really, so I can role play that quite well.
It's just good character work.
Not Xanathars.
Barkeep. What's barkeep?
I just sat down. Hang on. I actually have to look it up first.
So, Alex, do you just make a note of what kind of accent and?
I try, well, especially now that we're publishing it, I try and make sure that they stay consistent with names and with accents, where before, obviously, I didn't really care so much. Dwarves are always Scottish, so that one's easy. But everybody else, I have to try and remember, and I have to write it down. But I'm just trying to see. Bill runs the bait and tackle shop. No, I didn't write it down. Does anyone remember what voice this bartender had?
No, have we been here before?
Yes, you've stayed here.
Is this the one where we started a fight?
This is the one where Boone shot that lady?
I'm not welcome in here.
You are not welcome in here. Very well remembered. And as you approach the bar, again, I just need to find out what the stupid voice is. I think she was just a lady. I'm going to chance it, and if I have to re-record my own lines, then fuck it. And as you approach the bar, the lady looks at you and says, "No, no, 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 no. You get to wait out. You did some magic shit, and I'm not having it in here. You can
I
get
drew
the
power from the
fuck
land.
out."
It's not magic.
And she throws her hands up, and she's like, "Not my fucking problem. On your bike. We don't have bikes. On your horse."
Be a horse, bro. Right. Okay. I mean, yeah. All right.
Oh, well, I'm afraid we'll have to take our custom elsewhere, oh dear.
Oh, what a shame.
I mean, we got rid of the one who was shooting everyone at least. Is he welcome?
Does he do magic?
Shoot.
Yeah, no, you're
Shoots your
right. I
customers.
do remember that. That wasn't great. No, if you see him, tell him I don't want to see him either.
I don't like him that much either. But, okay, we'll go find a different inn where, the owners aren't dicks.
Yes, let's
Well,
Sorry, owner singular.
let's leave. How rude.
Yeah. Farewell.
And you exit the bar. Right. Here's what we're gonna do, because I am lazy.
Well, that freaky creature can sit in there and drink. It's nothing to do with us.
No. Here's what's gonna happen.
I will follow
You re-enter a new bar. This one is called the Cat's Whiskers, and behind the bar is not a halfling woman, but rather a dwarven man. And sitting at the tables, you see a lovely female elf. And over at a booth in the back, you see a man bird.
I've just seen one of them somewhere.
No, you
Yeah,
haven't.
more and more common.
I've,
No, pretty sure I recall seeing one of them not 5 minutes ago.
No, really. You were quite mistaken. It was a man with a rather big hat. But now it's a man bird.
but barkeep, what is that drinking over in the corner?
It's some kind of man bird.
Yes, I've never seen anything like it before.
Aye, it speaks.
Well,
I mean, should we call the authorities?
No, it's a paying customer. I'll have him.
well, what's he drinking? Him, her, it?
Yeah, I think it's a him. I'll admit I'm no expert. But he's having. What's your drink of choice
you
there?
Assume his gender? I mean, that's not going to go down well with the internet, DM. They frown on that sort of thing.
It is drinking ale.
Ale. But I'm no expert, but it did order an ale.
Are you trying to now say that women can't drink ale? Oh, DM, we're being very.
No. I've just completely re-recorded it and taken out the gender assumption and stuck with it for manbird.
Okay. Thank you, DM.
Malin, what would you like to drink? I'd like to buy that. They.
You want to talk to it?
Yes, why? This is the reason I've left the city, to meet strange, new, wonderful creatures and.
Certainly strange.
Well, let's go find out. Barkeep, I'll have a pint of what that birdman's it's drinking, and Malin.
I'll have a glass of water. I'm already seeing weird things.
Right, well, here you are. And if you figure out its pronouns, you let me know.
Do you think it can fly?
It's got these bloody great wings. I hope so.
Well, an owl bear is called an owl bear, but it doesn't fly.
Well, an owl bear doesn't have wings, does it?
Well, it does, but it is called an owl.
And it goes away to clean something.
Hello. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Glade, and this is my colleague Malin. I've brought you a drink. This may sound terribly rude, but I've never seen anyone like you before. Can we sit down and learn more about you?
I'm just going to let you know this is going to be very intrusive to your person. He does this.
Of course you can sit. My name is Acker, and I am an Aarakocra. I'm from a faraway land.
And those wings, they're magnificent. But they can't possibly carry your own weight, can they? Can you?
Oh yes, they can. And I'll do a little demonstration and fly above the table.
You flap really hard in order to sort of hover in midair, which is very difficult for most birds
Does
to
he
do.
send
In fact,
pots and everything flying with the updraft?
say again.
Does he send like pots and things flying with the
Oh,
updraft?
absolutely. It's this case of like he's flapping in order to sort of maintain his height, and everything around you is blown back by the breeze, and the bartender is pushing against it because he's only little. He's pushing against it to try and get to the bar and secure some of the more expensive bottles of liquor. You see the elven woman's hair is blowing in the breeze, and she's just got one hand
Like a
over
Timotei
her glass
advert.
of wine to keep any debris out. And you'd hear over the great flapping noises, you can hear the bartender shouting, "Stop! Bloody stop!"
I'll just yell back, "It can fly!"
I like to think Dr. Glade's fresh pint of beer, the foam from the top of it's just sprayed.
The foam is all over your mask.
Yeah. And he's
And I
licking it
will,
away with his
gently-
paws like a cat.
Yeah. and I will gently come back down. And my dearest apologies. I did not know that was not welcomed.
It's,
Have you never flown before?
Uh, I I have flown many times.
it seems to defy all the laws of physics that I understand. It's incredible. Is it sure there's not magic involved?
No magic. I'm simply a bird. And you are a talking cat. I would assume I can see his paws.
Yes, yeah. I had to remove my mask and licked
Okay.
my paws and clean the foam from around. Yes, a tabaxi. That's correct. Yes.
I have heard of your kind, but I have never met them either.
Well,
As a druid, this is going to be a very exciting party.
You're like a pig in shit.
Not really keen on animals,
so
so you both know.
Acre, is that correct? Acre? Acker?
Acker.
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 My apologies. What are you doing in town?
I left home. I left my tribe to explore. I want to see the other worlds and see what I'm missing out before I eventually pass on.
A man? I'm sorry. Are you male? Female? Oh, sorry.
I am male.
I'm a man after my own heart. That's exactly the reason I'm here. I was brought up in the city and I longed to get back out into the world and seek adventure. Although our recent few days hasn't gone quite to plan. We've lost one of our dear friends.
I I'm terribly sorry. May I ask what happened? What were you doing?
Boone, our friend Boone's here. Would you care to explain to our friend here, Boone, how Crickus died?
No.
Yes, Boone, would you care to explain how you got one of us killed?
It's all too painful.
Not unlike that accent you've suddenly found.
I can't remember how he does his fucking voice.
It's an occupational hazard, I'm afraid.
Just like all the fucking paperwork he has to do.
So are you guys an adventuring group?
Well, I guess we've never really called
were.
ourselves that, but
Oh, we did, suppose. Since so formal, we just happened to be 4 strangers who were given a job.
We're Malin's fabulous adventuring group.
What job were y'all tasked to do?
Kill a fish.
A fish. That's a very strange job.
yes, but beggars
This
can
guy
be
really
cute
didn't like
choosers.
fish.
Yes.
Well, I would be very much interested in seeing this fish, if you would allow me to come along.
Hey,
Do you eat fish? I mean, what do you eat? Are you
I
a
do
bird of
eat
prey,
fish.
a raptor?
I'm eagle. So I do eat meat.
Right.
Acre, may I consult with my colleagues for a moment?
Of course. And I'll get up and go to the bar,
Excellent.
where I will quietly apologize to keep.
He's setting things to right, but he's had worse in his bar. He doesn't mind.
Good.
Look, Malin, I think we could do with extra hands around our wings, as it were, in our group. But I'm a little reluctant to take someone on so early. But what else are we to do?
I mean, I think we should clearly inform him that whatever happens, Boone is probably going to get him killed like the rest of us.
Yes, he should. Yes, I don't. He should know the dangers of being around.
Boone. Yeah.
Us, Boone. Yes, we do seem to attract trouble. And Splitting the money. How do you feel about that?
He wasn't off the job, I suppose.
I'm just thinking whether we should offer him some kind of probation to prove himself.
I mean, he should earn a share of future wealth, but this is a job that we were hired for. I don't see why we should split that. He's not asked for it. We just wish to be a big fish.
Yes, but if we're going to expect this gentleman to put his life on the line, helping us kill this fish, a clearly dangerous beast, surely he needs some reward for that. And if money does, I'm afraid, pay for loyalty sometimes.
Are we assuming he's going to be unloyal?
Everything is an assumption with him so far. We don't know him.
Maybe he just wants to eat the fish. Some birds of prey prey on fish. I don't know. I think the money we have earned, then he doesn't need it. I'm sure there'll be booty to split with him in the future.
Okay, so the agreement will be, his probation period will be helping us with this adventure. If he proves himself and wants to remain with our adventuring group, he will receive an equal share in any future adventures.
That seems fair. And anything we pick up along the way, you can surely have a fair share in.
Yes.
Just wouldn't offer him the reward we were promised for this job.
Okay, shall I call him back over? Acre!
Yes.
And I explain the agreement to Acre. Would he be accepting of that?
I have no need for your money, so I do not mind. I simply seek adventure.
My hand shoots out very fast. Well, welcome to the group then.
Thank you very much. And I'll chirp, but I can't really chirp right now because my throat hurts.
So we'll
Do eagles
Will you
chirp?
Will you be chirping in future?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not sharing a room with you then.
And I have no idea if eagles chirp.
I encourage you to look that up. I'm pretty sure they screech, but I don't know if they chirp. I wouldn't know.
I'm quite sure if it's his character GM, he can roleplay it however he wishes.
I'm pretty sure he's pinning character on an eagle.
They chirp weakly and whistle.
Well, there you go.
Get wrecked, DM.
All I'm doing, George, is asking for people to commit to their characters.
So I will explain to Akka the fish mission.
Yep.
Explain that we've already got the gems, or Danny the dwarf is currently mining them for us, and the plan is to get a boat next. Who is that incredibly attractive woman over there? Do you know?
I have no idea. I have not spoken to anyone. The barkeep barely gave me a drink.
Dr. Glade will go over. Madam, would you care to join my group? Yes. I'd hate to see a woman all alone. But perfectly fine if you want to remain that way, but you're very welcome to join us.
And she turns to you and says, I'm only a plot device. No, she turns to you and says, That's very kind, but no, thank you. I'm waiting for someone else.
Oh, of course. Have a good day.
And she sort of politely inclines her head.
Um, says she's waiting for somebody. Well,
So, how do we go about the finding of a boat?
well, I
It's a
understand
good question, guy.
there is a gentleman called George Toohey who lives in this town over by the river. I understand he normally produces the boats for the ritual. Perhaps once we've finished our drinks, we should go pay George Toohey a call.
That sounds like a good plan.
Let me see if the barkeep can give us some directions. Excuse me, barkeep. We're looking for a gentleman called George Toohey. I understand he builds boats. Could you point us in the right direction of his establishment?
I have your map.
Ah, yes. I roll out a map I've been scribbling.
Well, then I shall mark it. And he marks it with a small yellow square, which you will see momentarily.
Ah, that's very kind of you. I wipe the beer off the underside of the map as I get it back off the bar.
You're welcome to pay a visit to Mr. Tui, but you'll find yourselves lacking if you want him to build you a boat.
Oh, well, why is that?
Well, he's out of business now with Mr. Reed. Collapsed, you see.
His business collapsed or Mr. Reed collapsed?
No, the business collapsed.
Oh. What's that got to do with Mr. Reed? Sorry, I've misunderstood.
They were in business together, building boats together, you see.
I see.
But since the business collapsed, they've scrounged little things here and there, gone their separate ways, you see. So you'll need them, the both, I should think, to build a boat. But they don't do that anymore.
And so no one's filled that gap in the market.
We're a small town, and boats aren't the most needed commodity at the moment.
Who built the boat for the festival?
Sorry, he shakes his head. Hearing voices.
That sounds concerning.
Yes, I'm a doctor. I'll have a word with myself. Oh no, that'll make things worse.
It seems you already are.
That was very quick.
I understand boats are built for the festival round here. What will happen now?
Well, that's some matter of concern. You see, we had a spare for this year's festival, which is only maybe a month or 6 weeks hence. Or gone, I should say, a month or 6 weeks gone. But next year, we don't know what we're going to do. George and Langton have been providing this town with boats for the festival for the last 25 years.
You say there was a spare?
Aye. We had one going before the festival. They'd built it already before their business collapsed.
Oh, but it...
So we were quite lucky for this year at least. But for the next year, they're either going to have to mend their troubles, get the band back together, shall we say, or they're going to need to find someone else to build the boat.
So what caused them to fall out of business? Was this a disagreement? A fight?
Something like that. And he kind of looks left and he looks right and he says, no, I'm no gossip. You understand?
Oh, no, of course.
No. Everything I say to you, this is in confidence, of course.
Oh, my lips are sealed, and I'll do a in front of my mask. In fact, my mask has probably got a zip, so I'll just go zzz.
it illustrates your point beautifully. Well, you see, Langton and George have been in business for many, many years. They were apprentices at the same shipbuilding for the same. They were apprentices, you see, for the same master shipwright. And the day they both qualified, they went into business together. They were the best of friends. Their parents pooled together all their money and purchased for them a seal, an official sort of stamp, you know, with where you can sign official documents and things on behalf of the business. Anyway, it was very expensive, mostly due to the enormous diamond in the hilt of this seal. And they went into business here in Leidenford. And they thrived for 25 years. Every year building boats, not only for the festival, of course, but also for a variety of other means. And people from far and wide would come to Reed and Tui and get their boats. Right up until about 9 months ago. You see, 9 months ago, a big opportunity, once in a lifetime, came onto their desk. A ship of unprecedented size and luxury. And they realized that they wanted to take the job, but they didn't have the cash for reserves. So, what they needed more than anything was the timber. They had plenty of steel, plenty of iron, I should say. We don't know what steel is yet, but they had plenty of iron for the ship, but they didn't have the timber to build the hull. So they went to the lumber yard, which is run by a man called Charles Finno, but we call him Honest Chuck. Honest Chuck's been serving this community for at least 60 years. Old man. But he's widely known around these parts as the most upright kind of guy in town. He's supplied lumber to this community, and he's never, in 60 years, never given the wrong change, never underweighted a customer. This very bar burned down about 8 years ago, and he was first in line to donate some timber to help put it right. He's a stand-up guy and a strict adherent of the god Ogma, who you might know is the god of truth. So he's a real guy, and people trust him and he trusts them, and he never locks his doors at night. So he often takes things on finance. You know, he'll take some kind of collateral and he'll store it away safely, and then people will get their lumber or whatever they need, and then he'll give it back when they can pay the funds. And it's been that way for years and years. Anyway, George and Langton had agreed after some time, very difficult decision, but they'd agreed to give the diamond seal to Honest Chuck, because they thought that he could store it, and they'd get the wood for their big boat, and then when they got paid by this rich so-and-so from out of town, they'd give him the money and they get their seal back, and all was well. Anyway, Langton was the one that was charged with delivering the seal, you see, take it over to Honest Chuck with the purchase order to get the lumber, and so it was all agreed, and Honest Chuck said, oh, I'll get the lumber, it'll take me about a month, I'll go out into the forest and chop it down. So Honest Chuck, Langton was given the seal by George, and then he went off one night and came back, and then Honest Chuck went out the next day and was gone, and a month went by, and he said, oh, give me a month or so to go out and process all your lumber and this and that, and a month went by, and Honest Chuck didn't come back, and then 2, and then 3. Suddenly, Honest Chuck was nowhere to be seen, and people started to talk. So, everyone was real concerned, A, for Honest Chuck, but B, because suddenly all the money was gone, and George and Langton were in a rather sticky situation. You see, the client wasn't going to wait forever, and with no money and no lumber, the client pulled out, and with no prospect of money on the horizon, they had to go get the diamond back. Now, we're all concerned about Honest Chuck, but when they went to find the diamond in his lumber yard, it was gone. So, no one believed Honest Chuck would make off with it, because he'd always stored things in the same place. 60 years, we knew him very well. And so George took the natural step of accusing Langton of stealing it and killing Honest Chuck. Brother, well, in arms, turning on brother. And George, accusing Langton, made Langton turn around and accuse George. Of course, it wasn't him. He suggested maybe someone had robbed Honest Chuck, but no one believed that either, because we're a small town, but we don't get many travelers, and no one had come in the time that he'd been gone. So maybe he'd gone out into the woods and died, but then where was the diamond? It was all very unusual. Now, the town sheriff didn't have enough to arrest the men, or do anything serious by means of the law. So it all just sort of died down. But with no money from that client and with no money from the diamond, their business collapsed, and everyone's been rather bitter about it ever since. So to this very day, they're refusing to speak to one another, and they've never produced another ship. And that's why we're also worried about next year's festival, because there's just no lumber and there's no shipwrights. So that's why you're going to have a hard time getting a ship out of Reed and Tui.
What a tale of tragedy. And you should write that down. It's incredible.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. If I haven't heard that from your very lips, I would have said it was the thing of a story, of some kind of made-up story, an incredible tale.
Aye, often the truth is stranger than fiction.
Well, we really are up the river without a paddle, in more ways
without
than
a
one.
ship?
Without a ship. If only we could find this honest Chuck, or his body, and prove that there was no foul play, or perhaps prove foul play. I don't know. It's
Aye, that's the thing. Well, we've all been talking, right, around the town. It's been 9 months. We've all got our own theories. But I suspect, if not even Honest Chuck, if you could find Honest Chuck, that'd be fine. If he was alive, we'd all love it. He's a stand-up guy. But I suspect if you could find the diamond, prove it wasn't stolen, get the boys back together, all be well.
well. Thank you for not gossiping, but thank you for.
No, there's no gossip. You
Yes,
understand?
yeah,
And he
yes.
gives you a wink.
I give him a little salute. I return back to my friends, relay all that. What do you think, chaps? Doesn't sound like we're going to get a boat any other way.
I do not think we have another way. You said.
How are we supposed to track down a diamond?
Well, we could begin at having a look around Honest Chuck's place, see if the 4 of us can put our heads together and find clues that perhaps the locals have missed. I, with my scientific mind, may spot something. You, with your incredible druid skills, may be able to speak to the very natural world around us. Who knows what the creatures have seen? You, my new friend, Acre, you could fly above and perhaps get a different perspective that we could not. And Boone, you could shoot holes in things and distract people.
Pew pew.
Pew pew, exactly.
With no other leads to go for, I mean, we don't have an alternative.
Okay, so I think we've this tale has fascinated me. I'd like to go take a look at Honest Chuck's place and see if we can find anything that may help track him down or the whereabouts of the diamond. Could you point his place out to me?
Aye, of course. And let me be the first to say that our sheriff is a lovely man, but not particularly gifted at his given craft, if you understand my meaning.
Yes, I do.
Oh, God. One moment, please. You'll recall, of course, that I marked Mr. Who was it? Tui. Mr. Tui's location in yellow on your map.
Yes.
Yes. I have marked old Honest Chuck's place in blue.
You, sir, are a gentleman.
It's just doing my job, sir. Just doing my job.
You're far more welcoming than the other inn in town. I must.
You've been to the Singing Jester then?
Yes. Do you have a comments and compliments box? I would happily.
We have a bulletin board on the wall outside, but it's often populated with advertisements for prostitutes.
Yes, well,
No judgment. People have to make a living. Only that it doesn't leave much room for compliments or complaints from those of a different craft, shall we say.
yes. And I've helped the odd prostitute in my time. They're terrible infections they get.
I'm sure you have, sir. I'm sure you have.
Well, you have been incredibly helpful, but I think we'll be on our way. But before I leave, do you have any accommodation available at the moment?
Aye, of course, sir. Of course. We've got some. They're not fancy rooms, but they'll do.
Yeah, well, let's see how our visit to Honest Chuck goes. We may need to spend the night, but perhaps we can arrange that later.
We've plenty of room, sir. Plenty of room. You just come on back, and we'll have you sorted out.
Should we head over to Honest Chuck's?
By all means.
You do.
Marked with. There's the.
Blue.
So there's 2 E's. Oh, I'm slightly colourblind. There's like a turquoise square over to.
That's closer to blue, I'd say, if I
Okay.
was you.
Okay, thank you.
My screen is black.
It should
I'd
no
go with
longer be.
Aqua.
Oh, it should now no longer be.
Okay, good.
Aqua, sure. A shade of blue. I think technically it's cyan, but sure.
Yeah. Correct.
I wonder if we should speak to the sheriff first. I don't want to step on the toes of the locust establishment. If they're anything like the police back in notice, they'd give you a good beating for that kind of thing. What do you think? Take a look around Honest Chuck's or speak to the sheriff first?
So let's crack on.
Okay.
Yeah, I recommend just avoiding the sheriff.
We've already heard the sheriff.
Okay. So I guess we need to cross a bridge. Oh. Have to head north to the bridge.
You head through the town. It's a lovely summer's day. It's July, it's autumn. You head through the town. It's a lovely autumn day. Crisp, but pleasant. And you make your way across the river, following your map, twisting and turning to the very edge of town. Honest Chuck's place is at the very edge of the last road before you get to the end of the paved section of this town. And in the fields, it's pressed up against a couple old hedges that then lead to some farmland. And you note that it's been boarded up. It's clearly not seen any life for some months, which is sort of helps to corroborate the story from your friend the barkeep. And it also offers a relatively decent access point to some of the trees through the fields. And you have a sense that its proximity to the water, as well as its location towards its proximity, you get the sense that its proximity towards the river, as well as its access to trees, helps to set it up as a useful place for a lumber yard to be.
Mm-hmm. Are they upper windows boarded as well, or is it just the lower ones?
It's just the front door. I mean, it's half-assed boarding if ever I've seen it. The door itself is boarded with some 2x4s, not a full sheet of wood. The shutters have been shut. You can see they've been just sort of bound with a nail. Clearly what's happened here is people have bound it up and tried to keep people out, not because they think someone's going to break in or do anything unsavory, but just to keep the elements out so that if someone should come and claim it or what have you, it won't have been decimated by snow or rain.
Okay. Could we take a look round the back just so we can break in a bit more discreetly rather than Seems to be a bit more populated around the
Yeah,
front.
of course. The back is there's a yard with a low fence that you could, well, not that low. It's probably 10 feet tall. You could easily vault it as an adventurer or indeed as a bird. But it's not. There's no back door. There's the front entrance, which is sort of a home cum shop, and then the back is sort of fenced off.
Sorry, you're saying there's a front entrance, but there's no back entrance.
So what I'm saying is that there's a front entrance,
Yep.
and you can sort of get the sense that the front entrance is the shop, and he lives above the shop.
Right.
There's no back entrance per se, although you don't note it because the back of the house is then enclosed within this fence of the lumber yard where he stores his wares.
Okay.
So in order to access it, you would need to jump the fence. Then you could sort of assess any ingress points from there.
Okay. So I guess I'll quickly have a look before I jump the fence. There's no guard dogs or anything like that. Can't see any evidence of anything protecting the property. Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry. Say that again.
So I was saying that before I jump the fence, Dr. Clay just wanted to check that there's no dogs patrolling the compound or anything protecting.
No, after this many months, it's dead silent.
Yeah. Okay. He leaps over the fence and approaches the yard and see if he can find an entrance into the house.
You land nimbly in the back of the lumber yard, and you note that despite the fact that it's been abandoned for some time and that there are cobwebs here and there, everything has been neatly laid out. Clearly, before Honest Chuck left, everything was put to right. The lumberyard is well maintained. The wood itself is mostly dry. It's been a relatively good summer, and he's only been missing since sort of the beginning of spring. So everything seems shipshape. And in the back, you note that there is a board over the door, but again, as before, very sort of not to keep anyone out, just to make sure that the rain doesn't get in. It would be very easy to break in. Then you note that the fact that the walls are 10 feet high around you means probably wouldn't be seen by anyone.
Acre, would you mind flying up onto the roof and see if there's a way of ingress up there?
Of course.
And I'll enter from down here. Do take care, old chap.
And I will fly up to the roof to see if there is a way to get in or any way up there.
You note a chimney. There are plenty of places sort of on the second floor, as I mentioned, since it's someone's home, that the windows, again, are sort of boarded with a single nail to hold the shutters shut, but not anything. You could, with your hands, pull it apart. But the roof itself is not a point of ingress.
Okay. Well, I will fly back down and inform the group. There's not a way to get in other than breaking the windows.
What if something were very small? Could it then get in, do you think?
Perhaps through the chimney.
Easily.
But that is the only way. How big was the chimney?
A foot by 2 feet.
Okay. So yeah, something small could get in.
Malin, are you thinking of changing into a small beast?
Certainly, yeah. Unless you want to have a different idea.
No. Yes, I think do your thing and have a look around, and if it's safe for us, perhaps open this back door from the inside, and we'll join you.
Okay. I will have a quick look around. I'll just get my bearings first, and I'll look up towards the chimney, and I will beast form into a spider.
Yep. You easily walk down the chimney and down into the cold fireplace and into a bedroom.
Do I see anything?
You see a bed.
Yeah, but I'm.
You're on the second floor. You can tell by the view through the shutters. And the bedroom itself is sparse, but not undecorated. You see some old decorations on the walls, a few paintings of ancestors and loved ones, and a well-made bed, but everything is covered in a thick layer of dust.
Okay. I will make my way to the back door onto the yard, and I will go under doors until I need to get to a big one.
Yep. You make your way down underneath the bedroom door, down the stairs, and through the shop front, which is quiet and again caked in a thick layer of dust, full of shelves, and back into the back to the door to the lumber yard in a small hallway, which is lined on both sides with a variety of pegs and hammers and tools and that sort of general hardware. And you find yourself at the back door. You slip under the crack in the back door and find yourself.
I will open the back door from inside.
Oh, I see. As a man.
I will man it up.
You transform into a man once you are downstairs, and using your arms as man arms, you attempt to open the door. Now, the door has been gingerly but deliberately boarded with two 2x4s that have been nailed in on either side outside the door. So, are you trying to push through them?
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Oh. I mean, that's not a question for you. That's a question for me. Moment, please. Oh. Right. Yeah. I will push. I will just push.
Yep. You give a push. Strength check, please.
Oh yeah, that's not a natural one, but it's good as. So yeah, 2 DM.
I think somebody's stroking the other side of the door.
You hear, the slightest creak.
Hold on, does this door go to like the outside where they're stood? Or to the
Yes, where
lumberyard?
they're stood right there.
Then why aren't they taking the fucking planks off?
That's why I mentioned it.
Malin, is that you?
That is me. I mean, there's no lock on this side. Do you wanna just like open the door?
Yes, everything seems to be safe in there, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't see anything. I was looking from a very small vantage point, but I can't. There seems to be nothing untoward. I mean, they did say he was a very honest man.
Yes. Okay, let's make a Boone. On 3. 1, 2, 3. And shoulder badge our way in.
Wrong direction. You want to
yeah.
pry.
Okay.
Pry the bars off.
Dr. Glade bounces off. This door's very tough. Oh, I see. It's the other way.
It's a push, not pull. Or the other way around. It's pull, not push. Make a combined strength check.
Do I get
or
advantage?
rather, roll advantage. One of you roll advantage.
Okay.
Ick.
That would probably be Dr. Glade.
Oh, no, Ick, be my guest.
All right. And
Wow, -1 to strength, and you picked him.
Oh, I see. You're about as strong as I am, but I'll give it a go.
Mal, do you want to also do a strength check for me?
a door beats us.
I am stronger than both of you guys. 14, buddy.
That's the first time that's ever happened.
I am not a strong person.
Yes, I am rather.
Is it 14 on the nose?
Yeah, I've got a modifier 0.
Okay. Between the two of you, Dr. Glade and Malin, you manage to pry open the door. It flies open, and you are. The door flies open. You have gained entrance into the house.
Quite more difficult than I thought.
Yes. I recommend warming up normally. Perhaps that's why we couldn't quite do it.
So
let's
shall we search?
Yes, let's take a look around.
You begin to search the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we see on the ground level?
You find a few rooms. So there's this long hallway with a variety of tools and hardware that leads into the large shop front. The shop front is mostly for display since the lumber wares are at the back, but there are a few other odds and ends here. There's also a nice countertop, again caked in dust, and a large old-fashioned cash register. And then behind the counter is a door, which is slightly ajar, and you can't see what's beyond it. Going upstairs from the shop front, Malin, you would know, is the bedroom and the living quarters.
So, well, this is the downstairs, and upstairs is the bedroom quarter.
And what's on the floor? Is it floorboards?
You have floorboards on the floor. That's right, hardwood floors.
I'm going to do a test jump and just jump on the floors. Does it sound like is it solid, or does it sound like there may be something below us?
When you jump on the floorboards here in the shop front, it is solid. It sounds like ground beneath you.
Okay. Malin, is there any creatures within this home that you could speak to and get some kind of indication of what may have occurred here with Honest George, or whatever his name is? Honest Chuck.
I will close my eyes for a moment. No.
Nobody. Nothing.
I will take a little bit of my rations, and can I look around for some kind of mouse hole?
You look about. The only life you can see is a daddy long legs.
I'm gonna regret this, but can I cast?
Can you what?
Can I cast speak with animals?
I think so. Hang on.
I'm not actually sure if I can speak.
I think it depends on the. It just says with beasts. They're classed as a spider, so I assume since you can transform into a spider, it must be a beast, right?
Yeah.
So you can speak to it.
Good luck with that, Malin. They creepy little things they are. I dread to think what kind of conversation that will be.
I'll just hold my hand out, and I'll just tap onto my hand and say, "Come here, buddy."
And it walks up onto your hand and starts to munch at the rations that you've put in it.
And I'll like hold it right up to my face, and I'll say, "Hey, how long have you been living here?"
I have been living here my whole life.
Can do a nature check on the lifespan of a daddy
You
long
can.
legs, please. Okay. That'll be a 0.
How do you?
Oh no, 2. Sorry.
Okay, 2. With a 2, you know that they live longer than a day, but less than 10 years.
I said, did you live here when the old owner lived here, like the human?
Yes.
trying to find that human and something shiny that he had.
Hmm.
Do you know if there's anything shiny hidden in this shop?
Shiny, shiny, shiny. There are shinies hidden in that room.
And he looks through past the counter to the room beyond the ajar door.
So, oh, cool. Well, let's go and have a look. Do you want to? Will you come with me? So you can direct me.
I'm in your hand. I have to.
I mean, you could leave my hand. No, don't. I mean, I'm not into violation, friend. It's got to be your free will. But let's go.
Is there more food?
Yeah, sure. I'll crumble another little bit
Okay.
of rush. I'll take him in. I'll say, right, whereabouts?
You find yourself in an office. There is a desk in this room, as well as some shelves in which you note sort of generic looking accounting scrolls for many years of business. That would be several hundred, sort of, quarter by quarter or month by month, these accounting scrolls of transactions. And he says, not here. Below.
Oh. And I'll on the floor.
Make a perception check and try not to fuck it up as badly as your nature check.
Wow.
Nothing.
And I'll say, Glade? Glade?
Yes. What's this spider told you?
There's something below us. Do you want to do that jumpy thing you were just doing?
Oh,
Presume that's the ancient rogue's trick for
yes. Well,
finding the way.
let's try a little harder this time. I'll get down on the floor and place my ear on the woodwork and get my cane out and start tapping.
Make a perception check with advantage.
Okay. So tap, 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 tap. 21. Tap, tap, tap.
You discover a hidden trap door underneath the carpet on the office floor. The dust is thick, but you whip the carpet back in a cloud of gray, and you see this door with a single handle. Pulling on it, you find it is unlocked, and as you pull it open with a great creak, you note a staircase leading into the darkness below. And that is where I'm going to pause to go pee.
Okay.
Please stand by.
Well done, Malin and Daddy Longlegs.
We're a team.
See if Daddy Longlegs wants to join us.
I mean, no.
Pardon? No?
No.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'd rather enjoy this.
I'm not keeping a spider as a pet. Weird.
Oh, I never said keep him as a pet. I said ask him if he wants to join us.
That's a lot of spell slots every time I want to communicate. It's not very fair on the spider, is it?
No. I don't know. He's maybe dreamt of seeing more of the world.
All right, welcome back, everybody.
Oh, well, I'll just tell you while we're on a break. I've taken a sleeping tablet tonight, so I seem a little less with it than usual.
That's okay. I've had a couple ciders, so this will be a very special episode of Patemei.
I've probably got about half an hour left before I'm lost to the world. If that's okay.
I'm sure that'll work out.
Cool.
If we can get to the end of, let's see.
You are welcome to do the last bit.
Let's see what happens. Let's see how far we get. We've got an hour of play in generic scheduling. So let's just see. If we find a natural point, then we'll just end it there.
So you've opened the trapdoor.
Yes. So hang on, I'll recap from our big break before I went for a pee. You've gone to investigate this lumberman. You've found his office. You've thrown open a hidden trap door that you found underneath a carpet, which the sheriff has clearly missed, judging by the dust, the ubiquitous and uniform dust on the floor. You see only darkness past a small wooden staircase.
Can I smell anything? I guess Dr. Glade has been called to houses in the past where elderly people have perhaps fallen and died unfound for a while. So I guess I'm not jumping to any kind of metagaming conclusions here.
No. I get you. Also, I think it seems like a relatively poignant thing to do. You give a sniff, but you notice nothing but stale air. You don't smell any stench of decay or death.
Okay. I guess as quietly and carefully as I can start descending the steps.
Yep. You walk down a very creaky staircase, but you find yourself quickly at the bottom of maybe 10 or 15 stairs in a small hidden basement, and you note a few items. On one wall is an immaculately carved, beautifully ornate bookshelf upon which rest no books. At the other side of the room, you note a very nicely done writing desk. You give the drawers a test, but they are locked. And the rest of the room is beset with a variety of art and posters that you don't quite understand. It seems to be relatively similarly themed. In many of the depictions of these posters or these art pieces, there is what looks to be the same dwarf and elf in a variety of romantic situations.
Oh, are we talking pornography?
No, it's not blue.
Not so much.
They're not blue pictures. They are romantic sort of gestures, the elegant Botticelli-esque kind of poses.
Oh, okay. Acre, I'll try picking the locks on these drawers. Would you mind taking a look at that bookshelf? It seems, I don't know, it seems strange. It's so beautiful, but no books.
It is odd. I will check it.
You will make a perception check, is what you will do.
Do I have to?
Not strong, not perceptive. What do you do, Will?
I'm actually very perceptive.
Amazing.
22.
You note in the bookshelf that it has been carved as though it were ready to receive 10. No, let me rephrase. Let me try that again. Hang on. You note, viewing the bookshelf, that there is dust which is caked just as thick as you saw upstairs, except at the very left-hand side of the bookshelf, you note indentations in the dust. It's still dusty, but slightly less so. And you note where there were probably, or what seemed to have been, 3 volumes on this bookshelf, which have now disappeared. Judging the length of the bookshelf, you extrapolate from there that there was room for 10 volumes of a similar thickness, but only 3 seem to have been present on this bookshelf.
Dr. Glade, it appears there were books here, but they were taken.
Any sign that there was? What makes you think they were taken? Is it?
They're no longer on the shelf.
No, but what gives you the impression they were ever there in the first place?
The dust settled differently around the shelf where the books were, rather than the uniform on the rest of the shelf.
On hearing that, Dr. Glade will look to the ground and see if there has been any disturbance in the dust on the floor. Has anyone been in here?
Make a perception check.
Okay. $12.
You note a single set of footprints in the dust, caked with further dust, clearly quite old. The curious thing about this set of footprints is that it appears only at the right in front. It appears only right in front of the bookshelf, and then, or rather, there's nothing else. So it appears only right in front of the bookshelf, and then there are no steps down and no steps back out in order to indicate any egress or ingress.
Acres, can you move that bookshelf? Is there anything behind it? Those footprints don't seem to go anywhere.
I can try. And I will try to...
Yep. You easily move the bookshelf from its place, sliding in the dust, and there is only a solid stone behind.
That's quite interesting.
Okay, can I pick the locks on the drawers to see if there's any further clues?
Slide of hand check, please, sir. Oh, yes. They nimbly, deftly pop right open. You find a variety of treasures. Well, that's a strong word. You find a variety of things. You find a variety of letters which have been strung together with some twine, which seem to be grouped by sender. So and they're labeled with names. The thickest set seem to be from someone called Cecil. And you also find in the top drawer what appears to be Honest Chuck's personal diary.
Okay. Let's begin. I'm sorry, old Honest Chuck. I feel terrible doing this, but I begin to read his personal diary.
Yep. You learn a few things. You scroll through it, and you learn a variety of things about Honest Chuck. Number one, he owns 3 of the 10 existing volumes of a book series called The Legend of Fangool, which is a terribly written love story about a dwarf and an elf who fall madly in love. It contains many explicit scenes, and you turn some pages rather quickly as he describes his own throes of passion in relation to theirs. Most of the diary is full of either his reaction to the acquisition of a new volume of The Legend of Fangool, his theories and shipping fan fiction, illustrations of various scenes, and his reporting on correspondence with other Fangool enthusiasts. As you flip through, one page stands out in particular. It's been pasted into this diary. It is beautifully illuminated with gold and blue borders and a deep red text. Chuck explains that Cecil sent him this volume from volume 7. Excuse me. Chuck explains that Cecil sent him this page from volume 7 of The Legend of Fangool in order to show him how fine the work was, and Chuck remarks that he is both horrified that Cecil could ever deface such a precious book, but also impressed with the quality of the craftsmanship. He writes that his early volumes are written in a liquid ink made of gemstone, but it's made of the gemstone garnet and have occasional gold and liquid lapis lazuli illuminations, that these later works are clearly higher quality gold with liquid sapphire trim and liquid ruby ink. Very powerful magic indeed. Cecil claims his entire volume thusly, not just select parts, as Chuck found in even the most advanced of his volume 3. The final pages are about Chuck writing in excitement about a new source who is offering to sell him volume 10. He claims it has woven diamond pages with emerald and sapphire borders around yet more ruby text. The book must be worth a king's ransom to any passerby, but Chuck wants to know how the story ends more than anything else. Chuck goes on And he talks about offering his entire life savings in exchange for the volume. And he explains how excited he is that the seller has agreed to the price. He hems and haws because the seller won't stay in town for very long. So to lock the sale in, Chuck offers to let the seller hold on to Tui and Langton, or excuse me, to keep the seller in town. Chuck offers to let the seller hold on to the diamond seal that George and Langton lent him in confidence in order to secure the offer for their lumber. Chuck rationalizes it by saying he's only using it in order to fetch his life savings from a hiding place nearby, and then when he makes good his payment for volume 10, he'll be able to reclaim the seal and return it to its rightful owners. The seller is more than accommodating given the price and agrees. And the last entry in the volume, which comes about 5/6 of the way through the book, talks about Chuck, who's excited to go and meet the seller. And the volume ends there. Chuck never returns.
And is there any information about where he was meeting them and who this person
Yes,
was?
he explains in detail that he is going to meet this in a sea grotto, maybe a day's walk outside of town, in order to keep away any prying eyes from his secret business. He's I wouldn't say too ashamed, but he's embarrassed by his love of these terrible books with their explicit scenes and the love story contained therein.
Yep.
So he's arranged to meet this person at a sea grotto on the coast, about a day's march outside of town, so that he can make the exchange and then come back with none being the wiser.
And the letters, that was all from the diary. Is there anything?
The letters help to corroborate
Okay.
what you've read in the diary. Cecil explains in greater detail, and they exchange theories and fan fictions about their favorite characters. They discuss the contents of other books. You do learn that there is only one copy of each volume ever published.
Yep.
So most of the correspondence is helping to transpose a lot of the storyline into letter format to be sent to a variety of enthusiasts, because they can't exchange the volumes themselves. And you skip through lots of letters, and they talk about all of their favorite parts and everything. But you gather that because of the rarity and the preciousness of the materials made, everyone only has a single copy. Chuck is quite lucky, according to his compatriots, in that he has 3 copies. Everybody else either has 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm. And I'll relay that to Malin and Acre and Boone. And Malin, does your spider friend know of anything else hidden in here? Didn't he say something about there being something shiny?
How would you know that?
Oh, sorry, I thought you told us what it said. Then,
and I see some. So I'll speak to my spider friend on my hand again. I'll say, we found some books, or it used to be books, and you said there was something shiny down here.
And the spider says, "Yes, in the book, shiny." And he points to the page that you've already found, which has the liquid gemstones inlaid into it.
Oh, wow. Spider knows stuff. Okay, so it seems we've found everything. Is there anything else hidden around the house that you know of?
No.
Okay. Well. Sorry.
Malin, does he say anything about the bookshelf? Anything hiding behind there?
Why don't you just check? But okay. Spider, is there anything behind the bookshelf?
No. Shinies were on the bookshelf, but not so shiny as this one, and now are gone. But no, nothing else.
No. He says,
Okay. Well, sounds like the sea grotto's the place to follow this line of investigation, if that's so.
Yes, I'm fine with
I think
leaving.
a potential murder expensive books. I've got a lot of respect for books myself. I'd hate to think that this poor chap has been conned out of his life's passion or even murdered. But as if we can retrieve these valuable books ourselves, this may bankroll our future adventures.
I want to read the books.
Well, yes.
They seem interesting.
Little
Can you read?
I can read.
Just out of curiosity.
I can. And I can write.
A little risque for my tastes, but by all means, if we manage to retrieve them. A trip to the coast, chaps?
To the coast.
What do you do, crucially, what do you do with the diary and the book page contained therein?
I guess we better...
I mean, we give it to the authority, don't we?
I say, yeah, we keep the book or diary for now.
But yeah, do we, like Malin says, do we report this to the authorities, or do we continue our investigation ourselves first?
Perhaps we should report this, but I would want to see the investigation finished myself.
Yes, perhaps some harder evidence is required before we take this to the sheriff. Agreed?
Agreed.
I am confused as to what harder evidence you need. We're also not accusing anyone of anything. Just saying that we're assisting in an investigation.
Well, we only have his diary to go on. These could be the ramblings of someone insane, obsessed with these books. It is only a diary after all. It doesn't prove that he has been conned and that he's been murdered. We don't even know if this diary is actually in the hand of honest, what's he called again?
Chuck.
Honest Chuck himself. We would be providing very little for the sheriff to go on here.
Okay.
Let's vote on it.
No, I'm in agreement. I'm convinced.
Okay. So let's take the letters and the diary for now, in case we need to confront anyone or use it as evidence.
Sure.
And I guess we need to figure out where this grotto is. I bet Bill Bates knows. He'll know
Your BFF.
He'll know all the fishing marks around here. I'm sure he'll know where a sea grotto is. Should we go ask him, see if he'll point it out on the map for us?
We have no other way.
Well, the dwarf was in the pub seemed to be very handy with the map, but I do think Bill Bates.
That was a map of town, though.
Yeah, yes, true. Let's go see.
Yeah, go see the fish guy.
Yep, let's go to Bill's.
Yeah, you head over to Bill's through the setting of the sun, shall we say, as the day draws to a close. You head over towards Dear Master Bates. And you walk in and you find Bill. He is slumped over his counter with half a bottle of whiskey in one hand.
Damn. And I carefully approach him and check his pulse, just make sure he hasn't...
His pulse is strong and fast. Not fast, strong and hard.
Am I able to rouse him? Maybe get some smelling salts out?
You go to shake him on the shoulder, and he immediately sits up with a start and says, "I'll kill the lot of you!"
Bill, it's me, Dr. Glade. Calm yourself.
Oh, yes, hello. Yes, I was just, resting. And he takes a great slug of whiskey.
Oh, yes, many a good night I've had on a good single malt, Mr. Bates.
Aye, have you come back? Have you caught the great fish?
No, this town is a very complicated town, Mr. Bates. We've sourced the gems we require. It seems being able to source a ship is quite the problem at the moment. Are you aware of the disagreement Langton and his once good friend George Toohey have had?
Yes. Fell out some time ago. I did know that.
Yes, well, it seems we won't be building a boat without them now that they've gone their separate ways. But we may have a way of rekindling their friendship. We need to find a grotto by the sea. I wonder if you could point it out on a map for me.
Yes, of course. And he points to the end of the river, just to the east of the river delta of the River Laden, at the coastline. Small inlet, and he says, "Aye, there's a grotto here, but you best be careful. It's a well-trodden location for pirates."
Pirates, you say?
Aye, some years ago we found a great pirate ship moored there, abandoned and scuttled against the rocks. The tide had come in and trapped it, you see, and the crew had abandoned it, but the ship remained, and it was used for some time as a hideaway. Not so much anymore, but you never know who might be skulking about.
Well, thank you for the warning, Bill. Bill, I think we're going to retire for the evening to the pub. Would you like to join us? It seems a shame to be drinking here all alone.
This is very kind. Very kind. But, no, I have, very important business matters to attend to here. And he sort of stumbles up and puts the bottle on the counter and then begins to sort of shuffle things, bait and tackle stuff. He shuffles one hook from one shelf to another, and then he moves some fly reel stuff from one end to another end. And he's clearly just trying to look busy.
Well, I'll wish him a good night. So, Acre and Malin and Boone, what do you suggest? We know the location of the grotto. But it's getting late. Yeah, it's getting late.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Which pub was it that was friendly to us? The Tickled Trout? Is that Bill Bates or Judd?
That was me laughing at the fact that you called it the Tickled Trout.
I thought it was someone snoring.
I say we go to bed, and then first thing in the morning go to the grotto.
Okay, let's go back to the pub that likes us.
You head back to the Cat's Whiskers.
Cat's Whiskers. Where did I get tickled trout from?
No.
I don't know if I want to know. And you march back in, and the elven lady is just, but the dwarven bartender remains.
Did we know the name of the bartender?
You did not think to ask.
Barkeep, I do apologise. I didn't ask your name earlier. I'm Dr. Glade.
I am Bogdan.
Bogdan. Well met, Bogdan. This is Acre, Boone, and Malin.
And he strokes his beard and gives a small nod of the head.
Bogdan, did you say?
Aye.
Bogdan. Barkeep. We will be requiring some accommodation for the evening. Could you let me know the prices?
Aye, very good, very good. How many rooms?
Well, preferably 4 singles.
4 single rooms, right? Pretty good. That'll be 8 silver pieces, please.
Sounds reasonable, Bogdan.
Aye, well, I stand by what I said. It's not fancy here, but it's all right.
Does that include breakfast?
It does. Again, not very fancy. We have porridge.
Porridge is good. I slip 8 silver pieces over the bar.
Yep. He pockets them, and he hands you 4 keys.
Distribute them. What time's breakfast served, Bogdan?
Breakfast is served from 5 in the morning when I show up to start the day's work, till whenever I decide I don't want to serve breakfast anymore.
6 a.m., gentlemen, back here.
Fine with me.
Then I'll wish you all a good night. Actually, I'm just guessing it is like late. What time is it?
Yeah, at the time of all this, it would have been time enough at least to go to sleep, or at least to go to bed, if not to sleep. You know, you would have got into your room, had a think about the day. You head over through the hallway, through the door, I should say, at the back, into the hallway, and into the rooms beyond. You note that the reason that there are keys, not because there are doors with locks in the keyhole, but rather because someone has put a latch on it and then through the loop affixed a padlock, and you have to unlock the padlock in order to get entry to the room. You walk in and you find a very simple single bed with a small wooden table and a window. It is incredibly humble, but perfectly serviceable. And all of you spend some time thinking about the events that you've gone through and dreaming of pirates in the days to come. And that, I think, we've given Judd his half asleep, and I think this is the natural stopping point, will be plenty for this evening.
Excellent. Thanks, Alex.
Cool. Thank you very
Anything
much.
for you?
I apologise for calling.
Don't, no, not at all. It was a perfectly good stopping point as any.
But we'd have got through more if somebody didn't make us half an hour late. But
Ha 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 ha.
Dr. Glade's going to read through that mucky diary.
Oh yes, he's going
You're
to
gonna
he's
read
going to
yourself
read
a bit of
many
smut.
smutty things indeed.
Nice.
Right then.
All right then, chaps.
Good night.
Yeah, see you
Good
later.
night.
See you,
Good
see you next,
night.
see you next
Yeah.
week.
See you next week.